Over the years at the Fifth Estate, we've profiled some of Canada's most haunting killers, their motives, their methods, their murders. But tonight we take you deep inside their minds, a journey with the psychiatrists who were sent into the jail cells to diagnose some of Canada's most infamous accused killers. Were they so mentally disturbed as to be not criminally responsible for their crimes, or was that just an excuse to escape justice?
Discovery of a rotting torso found among garbage in Montreal.
I was in my car. I was listening to the news, much as I did every day coming home from work. That's when I learned of this grisly crime and what the police had discovered.
The body parts are decomposing.
Very shortly, they mentioned the name of Luka Magnotta.
Police agencies around the world are circulating photos.
Magnotta is wanted for the gruesome murder and dismemberment of 33-year-old Jun Lin.
There was a whole constellation of rapidly evolving events in this case that I think shocked the world and drew us in.
Dismembering his lover and then mailing the man's body.
Mentally ill, out of control schizophrenic.
I think early on there were maybe some reports that perhaps Magnotta was suffering from an illness in the past. I thought to myself, well, is that possible that all of this could be the result of symptoms of a mental illness?
Luka Magnotta was nabbed in Germany today after a worldwide police search that reached into 190 countries. The CBC's
After his arrest, Luka Magnotta was flown back to Canada to stand trial for murder. Dr. Joel Watts was asked to accompany Magnotta on the flight home and assess his mental state.
A not guilty plea has been entered, as well as a request for a psychiatric evaluation, and the accused has...
First impressions of Luka Magnotta.
Well, I was sort of struck by the fact that he looked really unwell. He was a little disheveled. His hygiene wasn't so good. He looked like an individual who was in an acute state of psychosis. He was paranoid. He immediately started talking about this woman who he called the witch Debbie, who he thought was staring at him through the window, filming him. The forensic psychiatrist part of me was thinking, come on, this has got to be a show. This can't be real. But part of me was thinking, woo, he would have to be a really good actor to be faking this.
All right, my name is Luka Magnotta, and I'm 25.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a model. I'm pretty comfortable in front of the camera, so I've been doing it for a while, and it's been working out pretty good for me, so.
What's up, and hi to all my fans.
Over the next 4 months, Dr. Watts would meet with Magnotta some 40 times.
You know, after you spend that many hours with somebody, you get to be comfortable with them. And I think he ended up getting comfortable with me, and I ended up getting comfortable being in his presence.
Describe who was sitting across from you.
As the fall went on, he got more disheveled. He was still quite unwell and paranoid. He had nicotine stains on his hands. He hadn't been showering. He was putting strange things in his eyebrows as if it was makeup, like cigarette ash, wearing several shirts at once. And these are the sorts of things that we notice with people who are becoming more disorganized and more psychotic. He did not come across at any point as though he was a scary, mean, frightening individual.
Luka Magnotta, is this the face of evil?
Dr. Watts reached the conclusion Magnotta was not criminally responsible for the crime, which could result in psychological treatment instead of jail. He knew his opinion would come under fire, and it did.
I was fearful that I was going to be vilified by colleagues, by the press, for daring to say that Magnotta should be found not criminally responsible.
When we hear criminally not responsible, people get outraged.
They leave the realm of being an offender or an accused person.
There was an outcry and the perception that it was just simply a way for people who'd done horrible things to get off.
So was Magnotta delusional? Watch this security video showing him walking into his apartment building with Jun Lin minutes before the murder. Soon after, he emerges wearing his victim's t-shirt as he calmly disposes of the gruesome evidence. Despite this, Dr. Watts remained firm in his diagnosis.
I mean, it was clear to me that he suffered from schizophrenia, and schizophrenia is definitely an illness considered a mental disorder in the criminal code. He was experiencing several psychotic symptoms, several paranoid symptoms that made him believe that this was the thing that he had to do at that time.
Were you concerned that you were being conned?
Absolutely. I'm always concerned that I'm being conned. Again, it's something that my red flag is always up for the possibility that somebody is not telling me the truth.
Luka Magnotta was driven into the Montreal courthouse this morning amid a flurry of media.
Luka Magnotta has admitted to the facts.
Magnotta has pleaded not guilty. The jury must now decide whether or not he was sound of mind when he killed June.
I was thinking to myself, this is an impossible task. There's no way of doing this in a way that the jury is going to be able to say, okay, I understand, I get this. They're going to be overwhelmed.
Magnotta's lawyer says his client is not criminally responsible for his actions because of mental illness, but the prosecution says it intends to show Junlin's murder was premeditated.
That Magnotta knew what he was doing was wrong. He listed off purchases made, evidence thrown away, and places visited after the killing. A man on a mission, a man he implied was capable of faking psychotic symptoms.
I don't want to be taped, I'm just watching my show.
But where the prosecution saw a killer that was methodical, Dr. Watts saw madness. He determined Magnotta was under the control of another personality, a man named Manny, even when he was filming the murder of Junlin that would soon be posted online. Why would he record that?
He had been experiencing hallucinations for some time and had come to believe that there was this individual named Manny who was directing his behaviors. And it seemed to me that the recording of the video, much like the recordings that he'd done where he had recorded killing animals before, had been directed by Manny, that it was Manny who was telling him to do these things.
But to record it then is one thing. To upload this to a gore internet site, that's something very different.
Yes.
And that sounds like somebody who has a sense of purpose.
My understanding and belief is that the purpose of it, again, was part and parcel of the delusional thinking he had.
But it doesn't seem delusional when you are being, quite organized and quite deliberate in your actions.
Individuals with delusions can and do behave in a very organized way. You can have florid psychotic beliefs about something and yet still carry out behaviors that seem to be quite organized.
But the jurors didn't see it that way. After 8 days of deliberation, the jury decided Luka Magnotta was legally sane at the time of the murder.
Guilty on all 5 counts. A Montreal jury delivered the harshest verdicts possible to Luka Magnotta today, including a conviction for first-degree
When he was
murder.
found guilty, I was not surprised. There is a certain tendency and desire to have a more simple answer and to want to be able to demonize an individual who's done a horrible thing.
Magnotta was sentenced to life with no parole for at least 25 years. But to this day, Dr. Watts maintains Magnotta was not criminally responsible for that murder. But is there a body of the population that would look at this and say it's all sort of hocus pocus stuff to try to justify what is just essentially evil?
Evil is a large term, and I think it's a very morally laden term. Evil is not a clinical diagnosis.
Next on the show, Bob McEwen and another high-profile murder that shocked the nation and sparked controversy when the judge, the Crown, and the defense all agreed on the verdict.
Badger appears to be a 6 foot tall Asian male with short dark hair, black t-shirt, armed with a knife right now.
Copy. It appears he has 2 knives now.
He's still inside the bus.
Copy that. Door open or closed?
Door's closed and locked. Badger is armed with a knife and a pair of scissors, and he's defiling the body at the front of the bus as we speak.
It is a highway horror story so shocking, the details are hard to hear.
He pulled out a knife and began stabbing the young man in the neck 50 or 60 times.
Went to the front of the bus and screamed at the driver, "Stop the bus. Okay, there's somebody getting stabbed. Everybody get off the bus now."
I seen him in the window there just like a madman.
I was with friends at the time when we heard that had happened.
22-year-old Tim McLean is being remembered as a happy young man with many friends.
He was apparently traveling alone, asleep, listening to music before the attack.
Stabbed him repeatedly and cut off his head.
People were horrified because of just how bizarre the crime was.
It was a gruesome slaying. Vince Li didn't know his victim, and he clearly was dazed and confused. But was he mentally ill? Dr. Jeffrey Waldman is one of several psychiatrists who tried to come up with that answer.
Do you have anything to say, Mr. Li? Did you commit these crimes?
After Mr. Li was arrested, he was incarcerated and then very quickly brought to the hospital for the assessment. At his first hospitalization, they described him as essentially being catatonic. He gets extremely ill when he gets sick, to the point where he wasn't responsive. He becomes so engrossed in his own mind that he almost can't interact with the world around him in a meaningful way.
Vince Li was interviewed by a number of psychiatrists. This recreation is based on the actual transcripts.
Do you understand that you have been charged with murder?
Yes. I have taken a life. God said I must die.
It is really hard to imagine what a hallucination is. And most people feel like, it's just like imagination or thinking, but really it's a voice that to the person who's experiencing it is absolutely real. It's their reality. And it is completely different and bizarre in an illness like schizophrenia from how everybody else is seeing the world.
I am the evil son of an evil God. God chose me as the killer and chose Tim McLean as the victim.
Why?
I don't know. God controls all people for his own reasons.
So as he walked down the aisle of that Greyhound bus on July the 30th, 2008, what was his reality?
His reality is that he was on a mission, that there were demons and spirits trying to prevent him from his mission, that were trying to kill him, and that he needed to protect himself. And he had been carrying a knife with him for quite some time because of that. And I think, again, with the close quarters, the persistent voices, just it became overwhelming for him.
I don't know if I did the right thing. God commanded me, but it was my own hands. So I must die. God told me to put the body as far away as possible, or it would come back to life and kill me.
When the case came to trial in 2009, something unusual happened. The prosecution, the defense, and the judge all agreed Vince Li was not criminally responsible for his actions.
This was justice because the correct conclusion was reached. Mr. Li, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the psychiatrists, had no idea that what he was doing was wrong.
That decision would outrage the family of the victim.
We've all lost a family member here, and this isn't the right result.
That's the bottom line, is he is getting away with murder.
He still did it. Whether he was in his right frame of mind or not, he still did the act.
In spite of the outrage, Vince Li was sent to the Selkirk Mental Health Center, and just 4 years later, he was granted unescorted day passes, a decision that angered conservative politicians.
In my view, this is an insult to the family of Tim McLean. The review board did not take in consideration the rights of the victim in their decision, nor did they put the public safety first. Canadians expect their government to keep them safe.
Canadians have been shocked to learn that certain violent individuals who, while still in detention, have received unescorted day passes. Unescorted day passes.
I'm the psychiatrist. I'm not a politician, and I'm not a judge. My role is to ensure that the person is adequately treated, ensure that their risk is being effectively managed, and being able to communicate that information to the court so that they can make their decisions.
The argument of the Harper government at the time was, if someone like Vincent Li has done what he's done, definitively he is a danger to society.
But the data doesn't bear that out. And Vince Li is incredibly low risk of reoffending with appropriate treatment.
To what extent is it mandatory that he take medication?
So it's part of their conditions for being in the community, that they have to take treatment. And if they're given an opportunity to get really well, they want to stay well.
Today, Vince Li lives anonymously in Winnipeg. He's been on his own for the past 2 years. And the government psychiatrists in charge of his case are confident he is no longer a danger to the public.
He's still recovering. He's doing very, very well. He's in the community. He ran and did the half marathon a couple months ago. He's been accepted and waiting to get into a college program in Winnipeg. He is developing friendships when you meet him, and he's just got this sort of very soft, gentle way about him with a really engaging smile, and that wasn't really what I was expecting. Actually, just the level of friendliness, just how pleasant it is to be around him. Just a very nice man.